Hey everyone, Eizips here for CSM Practice. And today we have another podcast episode where we're going to dive in on how to increase product adoption by tracking the right usage metrics and what can you do with that data. And I brought in a very special guest, Olivier Fiaty-Amenouvor, and he is going to talk about what him and his team over at Camunda did to create such amazing results. He was actually a candidate for the CS Excellence Award, and I'm super excited to have him on the show to share with us his best practices and expertise. Hey, Olivier.
Hi, Irit. Great to be here. Look to having the discussion.
So, Olivier, not only do you have 7 years in customer success experience, 10 years in the technology space, but you have also found the time to be one of the founding members for Success in Black. Tell me about that.
Success in Black was founded in early 2022 by 𝘧𝘪𝘦𝘠𝘪𝘦𝘠𝘧. Soon after that was founded, there was a webinar that was hosted in February of last year that I attended. That webinar had 3 thought leaders in the panel, Mike Lee, Chris Contreras, and also another gentleman. But during the meeting, and they were all VPs and CCOs, I was inspired to have people that look like me in a high-level position in the customer success field. So I approached the panel, I approached the group, and that's where I was introduced to 𝘧𝘪𝘦𝘠𝘪𝘦, and I became a member. Automatically, after becoming a member, I started to engage with the community at large, and also through my LinkedIn. In November, I joined as a founding member, and I was assigned the role to help members breaking into CS by Success in Black, and also people that are currently in their role elevate and become maybe a senior, a manager, or director level. And since November of last year, I've been a founding member. It's been a great experience. The team is growing, and just love what we're doing and what we're doing, especially in the space, helping Black professionals, actually not just in the US, but all around the world, improve their skills in customer success.
So not just African Americans, but Blacks anywhere in the world. How many members do you have right now?
We have over 350 members.
350 members as of August 2023 when we're recording this video. Congratulations on that, because this is relatively a new organization.
Brand new, about 1.5 years of existence. It's growing rapidly, and we are excited for what is ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to include a link to Success in Black. And in fact, we're going to have a whole video about that organization. So check that out. Olivier, a lot of people, when they join a group that is designed to help others, they sign in because they're very passionate about what that group stands for. And little do they think about themselves. But I think a lot of times it does add an aspect to their lives. And I was just curious, what did joining Success in Black open up for you?
Personally, it's the opportunity to connect with many professionals, and especially in my case, many professionals trying to transition to customer success. I've talked to countless teachers, countless even nurses that are trying to have a career change from their profession to customer success, wanting to know what it takes to be a CSM. So I've had those conversations through various webinars that we hosted at Success in Black. And also personally, I've had the opportunity to talk to many of these professionals, reviewing the resumes so that it matches the skills that are needed. As you all know, there are transferable skills from any profession to customer success. So having those conversations actually helped me personally grow, also in my professions too, to actually fine-tune what I do on a daily basis with my client. I just love commitment from founding members, teammates, people that have regular job, but also dedicate their time to help folks that look at us in the field. It's been an amazing journey. It's growing. Like I said earlier, we're growing, and I'm excited for what we can do, what we can bring to this space called customer success.
You're also a senior customer success manager working with strategic accounts at Camunda. What kind of clients do you work with, or industries do you work with typically as a CSM?
So Camunda is in the process orchestration field. We help organizations in the digital transformation by bringing their IT and business team together when it comes to automations. And the clients that I work with personally are mostly financial institutions and also telecom industries, and sometimes also governmental institutions. My clients are all enterprise level that have 10,000 plus employees within the organizations. Personally, because of my fluency in French, I'm assigned to the Canadian area from west all the way to the east. And I belong to the global customer success team at Camunda, 30 teammates strong, and also part of the Americas team that has about 12 members.
How many clients or accounts do you typically manage at any given point?
Currently, I manage 8 strategic level accounts.
This is fairly a higher touch model. Do you have like a lot of end users for each account, or is it just like a small handful of team that usually leverages Camunda?
Behind my customers, we have up to 200 team that manages the prime. So I have, of course, what we call in CSM term champion, that is our representative within the organization, that is a senior director, and that person directs the use of our software to a team of 200 people under them. It's a lot of end user on the back end, but I deal with the leader as my champion on a day-to-day basis.
Which kind of alludes to the fact of why you took on an initiative related to usage data, because there's no way you could be in touch with hundreds of end users per account.
That is correct. Our goal as a process automation company is to actually see how many instances are running through their system and then be able to correlate that to usage, because as we all know, a customer can purchase a product and not use it. They would never know. And some customers probably don't care how their end user is using the product. But for us, we do care. That's why we would like to know on a regular basis how our software is running to the customers and users. That's why this project actually took me to heart. That's why I jumped on it and tackled it.
Maybe like in a few words, you can kind of explain what was the initiative that you took on and how long ago was it?
When I joined the company, the issue came about tracking usage data from our client. And at that time when I joined, there was no concrete way to track that usage. I saw it as an opportunity to make an impact. That was also an opportunity from a teammate that I collaborated with. She's actually one of my teammates in Europe. So she and I sat down and first analyzed what we had at that time, the company, and see what change can be applied to it. We actually started that project over a year now. So in Q2 of 2002, by sitting down, going through the current process, see the flaw on it, and see how we can improve it and also make it simpler and better. We collaborate with many cross-functional partners within the organization to tackle that. And every single quarter we had an iteration. And I can happily report that right now we have that process in place where a user can, with a survey that is sent to them, receive an instruction on how to track their instances running through their engine, put the data in and send it back, and we can have it on the back end, which was not existing before we started this project in Q2 2022.
Okay, so you not only have access to usage data, but you also leverage it for your own decision-making around the account, and you share it with the end users so that they can be educated around how their instances are working and the performance that they're getting because they're leveraging your solution. Did I get that right?
Absolutely, because people that our CSMs work with are senior level directors and VPs, and they want to know how our solutions are being run internally to, and also an opportunity for them to coach their team. So having them see that data is actually a powerful tool for them they can use to actually make decisions to where to shift the budget, where to shift the team, and how to track overall the Camunda adoption within the organization.
What dramatically changed since you were able to get access to usage data and share it with the end users? What are the main things that opened up, and if you can quantify the impact?
So when we started the project, there was no way for our company to even track over usage, because that's something that came with the implementation of this project. Before, in our contract, we allocate a certain number of process instances and decision instances to a client at the start of the renewal year. And at the end, they're obligated to report that data to us. And if there is an excess, of course, we bill them overages. But for the fact that for the longest time, we have not been able to collect as many reports as possible, was that allowed the company to actually lose track of that extra revenue that we have gotten. So since implementing this project over the past 1 year, we ran the report the other day, and we found that there were about €1 million opportunity that were uncovered, resulting in half of that being earned as a revenue. So the company just earned €600,000 just by implementing this project a year after it was implemented. So that's actually a big impactful project within the company and actually rose to the top initiative of the company.
So major impact on performance, financials, and obviously profitability. Did you also see any impact on your day-to-day by having usage data? And did end user reported an impact as well.
Absolutely. For the end user is the simplicity of collecting the data they love. I'll just give you an example. Before, at the end of the calendar year, we send an email, and the email contains an Excel sheet, a PDF that had 30 pages, where we will tell them, read the 30-page instruction, this line, that's where you find how to collect it. And after you're done, go to the Excel sheet of the email, put that data and send it back to us. That was the old way. As we all know, customers don't have time to do all these things. They have things going on. So most of them were ignored and overlooked. But this new process is literally just an email. So basically a survey, and the survey will tell them there's a video to access to show you how to collect the data. And then in the survey, you just put in the numbers. So easy. You get an email, you review it, and they write a report. So by spending, I would say, an average of 15 minutes deciphering the email, the Excel sheet, the PDF instruction, and putting it back for some people, for customers that would like to do it, it went from 15 minutes to literally about 5 minutes, the time to open the email, follow the instruction and video, and put the data and send it back. So 10-minute reduction. And the customer love it, and they're eager to provide the data. And also, like I mentioned earlier, my executive that I work with, they love to see those data. They love to see the adoption running through. So for them too, it's like an opportunity to go and see how are the team using it. So that has been the impact both my customer side and our side. It made my life easier too. I can send just an email, because before I would have to put together an email, attach all the PDF and Excel sheet and send it one by one. At this time, just on email suffice to send it and then get the report back.
So customer experience improved with that, customer satisfaction, customer loyalty, needless to say. Internally, sounds like your executives have better insights around what customers are doing, and then you have less manual work to worry about. So what do you think would have happened if you didn't do it? Like looking at 3-5 years out, still don't have usage data. What do you think the impact would have been on the company, yourself, your customers?
For my company, I would say loss of revenue, because 600K euro, it's revenue that didn't come from just the contractual agreement. It's just overages alone. So that's 600K euro lost. For my client, the reticence of providing that data, because if we ask our customer 15 minutes of time to find the data and send it to us, then they will see an incentive to it. Like, why will my provider or my vendor ask me to spend 15 minutes of my time to send the data over? First, the customer will be reticent in providing the data because of the time it took. And for my company, the time that the extra revenue that will be lost. And for me as a CSM is not having access to that adoption value, because adoption is something that we carry. It's one of the pillars of CSM. First, the onboarding, when you get a new customer, how to onboard it. But adoption is actually what translates to an easier renewal, I would say, at the end. Because if the customer and myself, we don't know how my product is impacting them, why would they renew? So that's actually something as a CSM that helped us in this endeavor.
Absolutely. So I think this worked well for you because it had multifaceted benefits, but also because you're charging them based on consumption at the core competencies that a company with a consumption-based model can have, especially like usage drives revenues.
I think I agree to that. And I know now organizations price their client based on consumption. So, most of them do. So for us, usage data is critical. Not even just for the revenue standpoint, but just for our company. Our founder's goal is to become the leader in process orchestration in the world. How can you become a leader if you don't know how to track end users' data? So for our leader too, for our co-founders, that's actually a welcome news that now there is a concrete way to track our clients using the product, also on a global scale, to see if we are working toward that goal of becoming the leader of process orchestration.
You partner up with your colleague from Europe, and then let's kind of like dig into how you approach this. You said you had no usage data. When you met initially, were you initially focused on defining what usage metrics you're going to track? Or were you also asking yourself other questions?
First, when we met, we sat down to dissect the current method, the current way. It was a cumbersome process, sending an email, attaching all these files. So first, we wanted to make it easier for customers to receive the information and provide the data. So we work on that piece first. And then second, with the information we received, then we wanted to say, okay, how can they impact the company? Like, what can they do? How can that improve customer experience? Then, especially with a stakeholder of the organization, how we can empower them to make decisions based on the data. First, working on that first iteration to make it simpler. And then second iteration to get the data and provide that to our stakeholder during our checkup call, during the cadence call, and having them use that data to drive the adoption internally actually made our life easier to have a senior leader drive adoption. I mean, of course, through our help, but it actually helped them with driving adoption internally within the organization. And then at the end, quantifying what was the return on investment for any project that is out there, has a purpose, has a goal, and working for a company, you want revenue. So how much revenue did it translate to? Have a way to find that out. That's how we came up with the number, €1,000,000 of opportunity with 600K won. So we had 4 different iterations, and when we started the process, used to make it easier, but now it translated to a revenue that is quantifiable as a one revenue of the company.
So it sounds like in phase 1, you were focused on quick wins. Phase 2, you're thinking, okay, how can we scale this? Not just fix what's so, but take it to the next level with some automation. Did you need a budget for new technology for the company to invest in order to make that happen?
Nobody used any tool at all. This project originally was just to revamp or change policy or change process. So we didn't need the internal budget for that. But now that we have this extra revenue, now we are continuing. So the project, at first we decided to stop it, but we saw that there was an opportunity to grow from it. So now every single month we have iteration. So the current iteration we are on for Q2 is to reduce any current renewal closed by the end of Q2 2023, reduce that number drastically. That way it will help us for the next 2 quarters gain that traction from our customers. So that's the next iteration we're on. And we see this continuing quarter after quarter because now a motion in place that the company embraced. So we'll continue to find a way to do it, but we didn't need any budget to start with. It was just looking like basically sitting down, dissecting and see what needs to be improved and how to change it.
So it sounds like you had a very complicated process initially. You need to collect multiple forms, send it via email, follow up with the customer gets it. It's like lots of work on their end to put data into an Excel spreadsheet, send it back to you. Now you analyze it. There's like hours of work later from you and the client. You overly simplified it. You created a survey. I want to reiterate that because you did not collect usage data using Mixpanel or Pendo or Gainsight PX. You actually still asking the customer to collect the data for you, but you facilitated the process so it's much smoother and takes the client less time and takes your team less time.
If I should mention it too, SurveyMonkey, that's what we use. That's the survey model that we use. Pendo and all, but we just use SurveyMonkey. It's not a CSM tool. But yeah, going from Excel sheet and a PDF and instruction to a SurveyMonkey, I think that's actually a big step. But yes.
What do you think the customers responded to it so well? Like, did you see an uptick in number of customers responding to it, submitting the data?
That's how we were able to gather the extra revenue, because once they see the process changed from a regular email with a bunch of files attached to just an email, they saw that, wow, this is an improvement for the company. It goes along with our slogan, process automation, automate process. We want to make it simpler. So for an automation company to use Excel sheet at that time, a year ago, was kind of obsolete. So now they see that, okay, we're actually following our slogan to make things easier, like running automation with our customers themselves. So maybe the mission is to use our own technology. And actually, that's what we use on the survey. So one of the videos is basically showing them how to use our technology to find the data and put it in and send it to us.
Looking back, do you have any kind of lesson learned? If so, like how would you approach it differently?
The lesson that I learned is that in order to be successful in any project, you cannot do it alone. You always need help. It's actually a teamwork. We actually got the help from our RevOps team within the company, our technical team, because in order to make those videos that we should embed in SurveyMonkey, we needed to get the help from our technical team that record themselves, following the process and doing it. And also, we have a video editing team that actually edited the video for us. And then afterward, we also got the help from our sales team to find out at which point we should track overages based on our licensing model. So many teams help us within the company to put all that together. So maybe just put together the final product, but we got a lot of cross-functional help. So that's the lesson learned, that in order to be successful, you cannot do things alone all the time. You might, but it's always good to work in a team and get help from your cross-functional teammates.
You're obviously extremely intelligent and you love getting your hands and changing things and making things better, whether it's for your company or your community. What gets you inspired? What kind of podcasts do you typically listen to?
Various podcasts. I listen to your podcast and also Todd Young on LinkedIn. He actually had me on it a while ago as a guest. And I also listen to the webinars by Christy Fatoruso, Client Success webinars. Also, whenever Success in Black, we have webinars sponsored by Success Hacker. I joined those to listen. I was also a guest one time. There are various CS podcasts out there that I listen to. In this field, you continue learning. Listening to all the thought leaders out there actually joy for me. So I would recommend following all these thought leaders and join the podcast and listening to it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, 3 is more than enough. We'll include the links to all of them in this podcast episode's description. So if you guys are listening in, feel free to click on it. Olivier, thank you so much for sharing your experience through this project. I think it's always great to know that making a difference for a company, you don't have to necessarily be a high-level executive. You could be anyone in the team. And if you see something that needs some optimization and you raise your hand and say, hey, I want to make this better, I think any leader in any company would really welcome that. And so thank you for stepping up and being a role model for so many of us. Everyone, if you love this video, give it a like, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, hit that notification button so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And I'll see you at the next video. Big love from me.